Have you ever gotten super triggered by something small? Like this person over here is a little upset, but you're over the top. You're really agitated and it feels irrational and crazy. Well, you may not be crazy. In fact, you might be completely normal. We're going to talk about that today. And whatever's going on depending on that is how you determine what action to take next. I'm Stacy Rocklein. I'm a relationship coach, and I help people with their communication so they can communicate through conflict in a healthy way. They can heal what's broken, and they can close the distance in their relationships. So let's just say this person's a little bit upset, and you're having a massive reaction to it. This is completely normal if in your past you had a parent or an ex or a sibling or someone very, very close to you that had very intense reactions. Like they raged, or they gave you the silent treatment, or they flat out walked out the front door and never came back. If that has happened to you, then what you're experiencing now is a post-traumatic stress about it. That little thing is poking something big inside you. And that's perfectly normal if you haven't had a chance yet to heal those hurts. So that will tell you something right there. If this small thing happened and you're having a really big reaction, there's something you need to process from your past. And that's no big deal. It happens to many of us. And it's really good work because you will break a pattern and that won't keep happening to you. So ways to do that are work with a coach or therapist. I also have a course called the 21-Day Heart Cleanse, which gets in there and looks right at those hurts so you can feel the feelings, so that you can learn the lessons, so you can ditch your limiting beliefs, so you can go through forgiveness and then unstick yourself from it so you can start to have more normal feeling responses when things happen in your environment. There are many other guides and podcasts and books and courses you can take to help you with this kind of work, with this kind of processing work. And it's really important that you say yes to it. If you bring a healthy version of yourself to a relationship and someone else brings their healthy version, this is going to be a healthy relationship. So it's good work all around. Now, let's say the situation's a little different and you're having a pretty big reaction, but the other person had a big reaction. They kind of seem lined up, except they're telling you this. Geez, you're so sensitive. Why are you getting so wound up? That could be about them. That might be that they are uncomfortable and we're touching on something that has been their trauma from the past. This work might be in their lane. Work in your lane is making sure you process your own traumas. Work in their lane is making sure they process theirs. And you can't help them with that work. You can support them. You can point them to resources, but getting in and doing it, that is on them. And it's perfectly okay in your relationship to ask someone to do that. If you're seeing a pattern of behavior that's kind of scaring you, maybe scaring just your being or scaring you about the future of the relationship, it's perfectly okay to say, hey, I think that could use your attention. I think you have a little bit of work there. I will support you as you do that work, but this has to change in order for us to have a healthy relationship. That's perfectly okay to do. So let's say you're doing your work and they're doing their work. You still have to have a plan for when there is conflict. Conflict will for sure happen. People will hurt each other's feelings. That's perfectly normal. And we have to be allowed to get upset. But when we understand each other and we have a plan for how that happens, it goes a lot more smoothly. See, if somebody hurts another person, that's what we need to talk about. But what happens is we react to that. And if the reaction is big, it's temper, it's silence, it's abandonment, then before we know it, we are talking about the reactions. We're not at the thing behind the thing. Now we're discussing how everyone reacted, and you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to have any traction on that original thing because people are different. Some people need to process internally. They need a little bit of space. Let me go over here and process this and think about it. And if that's what they need, both people need to know that. Some people are external processors. They need to talk about it. And if they need to talk about it, there needs to be space for that. And so both people need to know that. Here's where fears get engaged. If you have a fear of abandonment, for example, and someone needs to go process by themselves, when they walk away, it feels big because you haven't finished that work yet. It feels like they might walk out the door and never come back. So you have a really intense reaction to that. So it's so important that they say, I need space. I need to take a time out. I need to process, but I am coming back. If you know that you're in a relationship with someone who has a fear of abandonment, get used to saying, I am coming back. I need this little bit of time, but I'm coming back, and follow through. Make sure that you come round again and you follow up with that conversation. Now, the same thing can happen with the external processor. They need to talk about it, and that feels really challenging for a conflict avoider, for example. So that person who's talking about it needs to make sure it's very clear that all they're doing is trying to process. I just need to process this out loud so that this person doesn't have to be afraid of what's going to happen in that situation. If they're afraid, they're going to avoid it, and then nobody gets their needs met. So you need to know each other. You need to know what each person needs when a conflict comes up and they're upset. What do they need? And what do we need to do to make sure that we do come back to these conversations in some way? That is really important because you have to get to that thing behind the trigger. That is how you move forward on your, troubles and struggles and challenges and problems in a relationship, is not talking about the reaction, but actually talking about the thing itself, the triggers themselves. And in the meantime, you both have to be doing your personal work. You have to be growing yourself to the highest level of health you can achieve so that you can get the most out of this relationship. And that is just going in and cleaning up some messes that people made as they tromped through our lives. And many of us do it. If you want to do it with a partner, I do one-on-one coaching, and you can contact me by email. If you're interested in my course to help you do that, you can also contact me by email, Stacy@stacyrocklein.com. This is how we build healthy relationships, dealing with our conflicts in healthy ways and coming to the table as healthy partners.